What's up, guys? I'm Chris Spags here, back with the reboot of the Four Corners. After Hollywood has brought them so in vogue over the last few years, we decided it was time to bring back the Four Corners for the public once again. If you're not familiar with this short form video, you'll be prepared to see the top stacks on the day, the top pitchers on the day, some of the top owned plays, as well as my own lower owned dart throws. So like this video and subscribe to the Awesemo YouTube channel right now. And as any veteran of the Four Corners can tell you, we're also giving away weekly passes to Awesemo Plus. All you have to do is like this video and comment down below your double dong pick, the guy you think is going to hit 2 home runs today, because every day we'll be giving away 1 Awesemo Plus weekly pass to a person who guesses that correctly. So like the video right now and comment your double dong pick, the guy you think is going to hit 2 home runs today, down below. But you guys know the drill. We've got no time to waste here on the Four Corners. So let's get right into our first corner of the top stacks on the day, lovingly curated by our own Alex Awesemo Baker. Starting off the top stack, the New York Yankees in a spot against Toronto where they have 5.2 implied runs, a 10% chance of being the top stack, and 9% expected ownership. The Yankees face Robbie Ray, a volatile pitcher with big strikeout stuff at a 30% K rate since 2019, a crazy power allowed with a 240 ISO, and a 5.3 xFIP versus righties. Judge, LeMahieu, and Stanton all mash lefties, but 6 guys who strike out above league average in the Yankees lineup could make Ray an interesting leverage pitcher. Our next of the top stacks is Oakland at Arizona with 4.9 implied runs, an 8% chance of being the top stack, and 13% ownership expected. Madison Bumgarner's been awful for Arizona since 2020 with a 17% K rate and a 6.3% home run rate allowed. Value pricing for Oakland makes them tough to avoid given the matchup with Bumgarner, but getting away from them as 5-man stacks could be a viable approach for tournaments given that lofty ownership expected. And our last of the top stacks is Houston versus Detroit with 5.2 implied runs, a 7% chance of being a top stack, and 8.5% expected ownership. It'd be tough to afford the stud pitchers with Houston stacks, but they do seem worth some exposure despite the high ownership for the Astros. And now onto our next corner, the top pitchers on the slate, ranked once again by Alex Awesemo Baker. The number 1 pitcher according to the top pitchers tool is Tyler Glasnow versus Texas with a 27% chance of being a top pitcher with 46% ownership. Glasnow may look a bit overowned, but he brings a 38% K rate against the Texas lineup with 6 guys who strike out above league average. His high ownership comes with some theoretical risk, but Texas is bad enough to make this play feel more safe than not. Another top pitcher looks like Garrett Cole at Toronto with a 22% chance of being the top pitcher, along with 28% ownership. Cole brings his own 38% K rate going back to 2019, and he looks solid, though maybe less appealing than Glasnow despite less ownership. Toronto has only 4 hitters who strike out above league average and has a 192 ISO in their projected lineup, much more potential risk than Glasnow faces. And our last of the top pitchers according to Awesemo's top pitchers tool is Adbert Alzolay at Milwaukee, a 14% chance of being the top pitcher along with 17% ownership. Alzolay has shown big strikeout ability in his limited major sample size with a 28% K rate. His value price is appealing, but he does face a lefty-heavy Brewers lineup as a pitcher that allows a 222 ISO and a 4.6% home run rate to lefties, a possible way to get leverage on the slightly overowned Alzolay. And now onto our next corner of the top owned players, courtesy as always of Awesemo's ownership projections. Number 1 is a man we just talked about, Tyler Glasnow, will be number 1 owned on DK at 46% ownership, while he's also number 1 owned on FanDuel with 34% ownership. Glasnow brings big strikeout upside against the Texas team with 3 implied runs in their Vegas total. He's a clear cash game SP1 and seems like worthwhile chalk despite the high ownership. Another top-owned play is Freddie Peralta, will be number 2 owned on DK at 33%, while he'll be less owned at 15% on FanDuel. Peralta looks like he'll be the paid-down SP2 option on DraftKings, but less integral on FanDuel as a one-pitcher site. He has a 40% K rate since 2020. He definitely looks overowned with twice as much ownership as his chances of being a top pitcher. And our last of the top owned plays is going to be more crucial on FanDuel. Christian Yelich, number 2 owned on FanDuel at 33%, while he'll be less owned on DK at 17%. Yelich's price on FanDuel is hard to avoid at 3,800 as long as he's in the lineup. He's not as much of a leverage play on FanDuel as DK, but Alzolay's 6.4 xFIP and 222 ISO to lefties could mean production for Yelich and his 300 ISO versus right-hand pitching. And now on to our last corner, some of the lower-owned dart throws that I'm intrigued by today, and that list starts with Dane Dunning versus Tampa Bay, who's projected for 9% ownership today. Dunning is a pivot to lofty ownership for Adbert Alzolay and Freddie Peralta on DK with a 26% K rate and a low 120 ISO allowed in a limited MLB sample size. Dunning's matchup against Tampa Bay, whose lineup has 5 guys that strike out above league average, could give Dunning some upside as a pivot to those higher-owned pitchers. Another dart throw that I'm intrigued by is Kyle Tucker versus KZ Mize at 12% ownership expected. Chalky ownership will go to Tucker's teammate Yordan Alvarez, but both lefties should benefit versus the 310 ISO and 6.2% home run rate that Mize is allowed to lefty bats. Tucker has a 294 ISO and a 5% home run rate of his own against righty pitching. And my last of the dart throws is going to be Jesse Winker versus Aaron Sanchez with 1% ownership expected. San Francisco's park dimensions were changed to allow more power last season, a situation that could benefit Winker in his 251 ISO versus right-hand pitching. Sanchez gives up a 4% home run rate and 280 batting average to lefties, and that should put Winker in position to succeed in the leadoff spot for Cincinnati. So there you have it, our first return to the four corners for MLB season. So make sure you hit that like button now and subscribe to the channel. Go to awesemo.com/join to see all the player projections, ownership projections, and of course the top stacks and top pitchers sold that I referenced throughout this video. And make sure to like the video and comment your double dong pick down below for your chance to win a week of Awesemo Plus, giving away one of those each day. So if there's multiple people who get it right, we're going to run a randomizer to give it to you guys. But comment your guy to pick 2 home runs or to hit 2 home runs today down below in the comments. And I'll be back with you guys again tomorrow because the MLB schedule is going to let us get some four corners in for the next few days. So I appreciate you guys. Tell a friend, tell 10 friends, tell 10,000 friends to come to this video. We'll see you guys again soon. Enjoy your days. Good luck.